Welcome to the Habichat podcast.
My name's Nathan.
And I'm Kaylin. And we're two guys having a chat about our habitat. Yoo-hoo!
On this episode...
Nathan, take off your mask, mate.
No.
We can't hear you. We talk about COVID on this episode. FYI.
Alright, fuck. What's going on here? What's up these...
It's your first time sitting on a chair?
I don't even know what's going on.
What are you doing? You're pumping it.
Alright.
Good morning, Nathan.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Good morning, Kaylin.
Enjoy that.
Swearing straight off the bat.
Yeah. I'm surprised I can even put my words together right now, to be honest.
It is ridiculously early. I think this is the earliest a day has ever been.
I think it is. I honestly think time has warped and we somehow managed to jump out in some really early time that's never existed before. See, I can't even what am I talking about? What is this shit?
A few episodes back we debunked the
English
language. Now we're debunking time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I just seem to not remember the English language
I don't think it's
today.
ever been earlier than it has been right now.
No,
That's
true.
Episode done.
Mind blown. That's right.
All right.
Well, look, mate, we are in the midst of a pandemic. Hashtag warning. Hashtag warning?
Is that even a hashtag?
Oh, well, it is now. Hashtag warning.
Let's start it.
Hashtag warning. Woo, woo, woo.
As if you're not already warned.
Yeah. Well, my warning was going to be that this is COVID content. Beware.
Yes. Yes.
Because there is a lot of COVID content out there right now. So if you're sick of it...
Yeah. Pardon the pun.
Oh,
mate.
That's like...
No, but all jokes aside, but yeah. It's a terrible plague that's infecting the world. And yeah, we just... Straight off the bat, we just wish everyone is safe, in good health, and in bright spirits.
Absolutely. And those in lockdown still in, we are what, November? No, we're not November. We're October. See, warp time again.
2020 has just merged into one big time stamp.
Yeah. We're just all hoping it was last a month, and we just keep pushing out that end of the month.
Yeah.
Until, who knows, it'll probably be... Well, that's it. We don't know if we're in the middle of a pandemic. We don't know if we're at the end of a pandemic. We don't know anything.
Yeah.
And it's a bit hard to stay motivated, but I just want to say to everyone out there to stay motivated. We're getting through it together. We can start seeing things starting to roll now.
Yeah.
We're in Queensland, in Australia, and we're relatively back to normal. Obviously, you get the odd reminders, but it's just everyone keep hope up because we're gonna get there.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, that's if Trump doesn't release his miracle cure, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, I think the latest was I saw a tweet about his blood being the cure or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think
Maybe that was a hoax or.
I think it's also partly to do with he's a lizard person.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fact.
legitimate.
That is actually fact.
That is 100% fact.
Yeah,
and
like,
he's
no
from the
doubt
sun.
about it.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, so there's a person from the sun. I know that from inside sources.
Those inside sources won't be named, but
Yeah, because they do not exist.
because they don't exist.
Tell nobody. Anyway, all seriousness though, today we're going to have a little discussion about the silver lining of this pandemic, and that is the effect on the natural environment and how the slowing of human activity has actually... Oh, sorry if everyone heard that. I managed to hit something underneath the table that
just
I didn't...
throwing the table around.
Yeah, again.
He's just so excited for this.
Yeah, woo! Yeah, so it's a bit of a silver lining. It's not a cure-all. Pardon the pun again. We're on fire
with the puns.
But it is nice to see hope and to see that the slowing of human activity, the impact that it can have. It's also very alarming to know that the real impact that human activity day to day actually has. Also gives me a little bit of hope too, which we'll run through at the end, how quickly the Earth can heal itself too.
Yeah, I suppose this is a really important simulation, like aside from the whole COVID scenario. Take that aside and just take the scenario of, we're not doing anything. We're not traveling as much as we are. It's a simulation as if, humans weren't on this planet, right? Now it's like it's the Earth simulating, okay, how is it going to revive itself if we're not here? Yeah. And we're already seeing that, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And definitely not putting forward any motions of mass genocide at all. But we are putting forward the fact that humankind has an impact on the Earth. And we're just more or less discovering what that is. But we can't really talk about the effect on the environment without first talking about the economy and how that has been impacted, because the economy is the driving factor behind how we operate and move around this world, this planet Earth.
Machine.
That's right. It's the machine rolling it all and making sure it all works. And obviously, this is the largest thing I've ever seen globally in my lifetime of 28 years, which isn't long compared to many. But it's also the worst economic shock since the Great Depression.
Wow.
Yeah, so we all heard growing up about the Great Depression and how bad that was. I'm like, oh, we'll never see that. Well, we're currently living in it. Very different times. We're not all in rag clothes because of it.
Yeah.
But it is the biggest economic shock to the Great Depression. And that's because of the loss in the world connectivity, meaning that all the trade routes basically have been halted. So shipping routes, plane routes, all of the interconnected global economy movements have been pretty much put on hold or really minimized.
Yeah.
Flight paths are pretty much non-existent. Tourism is essentially dead. And all these key factors of the economy are easing conditions and easing environmental pressures on the natural environment.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So to give you an idea of key consumption losses, we've lost $3.8 trillion worth of consumption trade.
Where's it gone?
Well, that's the thing. It's still there. I mean, money doesn't disappear.
It's just in terms under someone's bed, or
yeah, I think so. Scrooge McDuck. I think he's got it.
Right.
Yeah. He can't swim in that pool of coins anymore because it's too tall. It's up to the roof. So yeah. But it's okay. He will let it go eventually. Yeah, when everything.
It'll eventually get back into the economy.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. When he can buy things again.
Right.
It'll be fine.
Scrooge McDuck items. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Unless he starts his own country with all that money.
Well, until that happens.
He just starts manufacturing everything he needs.
He just takes over the world. Yeah. Leverages this.
He's like, I see an opportunity here.
We got played. We got played by Scrooge McDuck.
Oh no, we're uncovering another hoax.
Oh wow. Oh. We're dropping too many bombshells.
No, do you know what this is going to do?
I think we need to create more suspense.
Yeah.
We're just dropping them.
Suspense is not something we're good at, Nathan.
Look, we're trying. Each episode, we're trying. Now.
We try harder and harder every day. But all seriousness, we're not here to start conspiracy theories or support them, FYI. We're about facts.
We're just having a silly goose time.
It's an early morning. and we're just a couple of silly gooses.
Yeah, that's it.
Laying our eggs.
Just doing our thing.
Chirping away.
Flapping our wings. Flapping our beaks.
Okay. And also, 4.2% of the global workforce has been essentially lost or laid off.
4.2% of the global workforce
which is about 147 million people.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
That's all of Australia and some.
Yeah.
That's Australia like multiple times over.
Yeah.
I'm not here to
honestly,
do quick math.
I always reflect on this, just the hardships that people must be going through, and my heart goes out to everyone that would be, going through this. It's as you said, the Great Depression, of our modern era. So, yeah, it's just my heart goes out to everyone, and I wish everyone strength through this time. Like, it must be so hard to just have your world turned upside down like that.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah, and I don't know somebody who this hasn't impacted, either directly or indirectly. I mean, we personally have seen losses of jobs. Thankfully, and touch wood, that hasn't been either of us yet. But I'm sure, as we move forward, things will start to move again. And, I'm a firm believer in things happen for a reason, and there's lessons in everything you learn. And some people would find it really tough right now as to trying to find what those lessons are. But, we're all standing with you. The whole world is literally standing with you.
Yeah.
So that mobility that I was talking about before, about the trade routes and flight paths and tourism, mobility in general has reduced by 90%.
Right.
So you think of that, only 10% of mobility is happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
In what normally would be 100%. So less people moving means less money moving.
That's right.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So I suppose the biggest impact, though, is what's happening with CO2 and gas emissions. So, and this comes down to both the CO2 emissions in the atmosphere as well as the dangerous fine particle matter emissions. So basically your sulfur dioxide and burning of fossil fuels and your SO2 and NOx and etc. So and they're measured in parts per million. So they're really basically how many parts per million in our atmosphere, in the air that we breathe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and CO2 is a little bit different. It's more measured in gigatons or tons.
Okay.
Yeah. So just a little bit of a heads up before I start rattling off some numbers.
Yeah. Scientific quantities for you there.
Yeah.
To get you started for the morning, or wind down for the evening.
Yeah. Yeah. Or keep you motivated during the middle of the day.
Yeah, that's right.
Get you thinking in the middle of the night. Listen to our podcasts everywhere.
As you sleep.
Every time of day.
As you sleep,
As you sleep.
It could be as therapeutic as that,
Yeah, well, I mean,
you're learning as you sleep.
Amazing. I hope we don't put people to sleep. So anyway, so greenhouse gas emissions. We've basically reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by 4.6%, which is the largest ever in human history.
Wow.
So that's the equivalent of 2.5 gigatons.
And what time period? Obviously, it's from the start of COVID till now. Till October right now, when we're recording this. So what was the was it a gradual sort of decline, or was it just sort of a sudden drop off when all travel was banned?
Pretty much sudden. So as soon as the world started to halt, as soon as the activity slowed down,
wow,
the greenhouse gas emissions slowed down with it.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was what, in my research, I found that really our day-to-day activities have literally a minute-by-minute impact on the planet. So second by second.
Yeah.
Everything we do immediately impacts what's happening. I mean, you think you're driving a car it's gasoline or petrol, whatever you identify as your fuel source. That's oil based, and that is immediately pumping into the atmosphere as you're driving it. It's not, going to later let go of those emissions.
It doesn't have like a delayed effect. It's like, I'll pump it like next week. It's
yeah,
gonna go
don't
into
worry,
the
man,
atmosphere next week.
I'll wait till you plant a tree and then I'll let it go.
Yeah.
No, it's immediate.
Straight away.
Right. Straight up. So, and that's just a car. You think of trucks, all types of oil-based transport, planes. They're probably the biggest pumper of the old CO2.
Yeah.
Should call them a CO2
the amount of fuel
pump.
that those big birds go through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you refer to our previous episode about the future of energy and think of batteries, I think I discussed then, I'm not sure, about the idea of electric planes in future and how there was that weight mass distribution. We need our battery technology to get up there before we can get planes.
Yeah.
So I think one thing to note is that we kind of really need to deal with planes are a really great quick way for goods to be transported and people. But if we're talking about the economy, goods, or also people through tourism, but it's a really quick way and they're kind of vital for our economy to keep going and be strong. And without a strong economy means that we are going to look at cheaper ways of doing things. So we won't be as innovative, and we need to be innovative in this time to be able to push our society into that realm of sustainability and be sustainable based off our natural resources, renewable resources.
That's right, yeah.
So if we pull all the planes out of the sky, then that's not the answer because that's going to halt our economy, basically. So we need to look at it on ground level first and seeing what we can do here while we're waiting for technology to catch up with our ambitions.
So literally starting from the ground, and we're already seeing like innovators doing that right now. Starting from the ground up, and then that technology will scale up to, planes, ships, even.
That's right. Yeah.
You could like see those large scale ships.
That would be cool.
Cargo freights, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Going electric. That'd be, kind of bizarre to think of.
Yeah.
But you can definitely imagine it. If you're just starting with something as small as, a personal mover like a car.
That's right.
Yeah.
Even before that, think of something more immediately obtainable would be an electric bike or something like that, because people have a reluctancy to use traditional bikes if they're in a hilly area or something along those lines. With an electric bike, that pretty much eliminates that.
Yeah.
Even smaller than that, your electricity company, something that you use day in and day out. All you need to do is give them a call in Australia here and say, "Hey, look, I want you to offset my carbon," and they will.
All right. Just ask that question.
Yep, that's it. And
there you go, people. Just simply
it takes
ring 'em up,
one phone call.
Dial up that number and just ask that question.
Yep.
And it's as easy as that.
Or you can even look at, and if they won't, which they should, but if they won't, then you can also look at options of changing your power company, which is easy enough to do. It's just the person who's monitoring your electricity use, essentially. But you can change it to someone, a company that is completely sustainable by using renewable resources.
Right.
Really simple, like something that you can do this afternoon, and it will have no impact on you.
Yeah.
But it will drastically affect.
Yeah, and that's the whole principle with it whole. Like you're pumping your energy, as in your money, like your money. Essentially, that's your energy. You're giving energy to this sustainable, alternative. It's and then that in itself is the consumer's choice, and that will grow that industry, that sustainable industry that operates off wind or other alternatives. So
yeah, that's right. That's 100% right. Yeah. So yeah, look, this obviously with COVID, it's the biggest kind of impact we've seen as we know, and it's the CO2 emissions not emitted during this time has had the biggest impact on us during the 20th century, or ever that we've ever seen. So, and that's partly to do with the fact that we are consuming a lot more than we ever have as well. So obviously by minimising that consumption and that movement by 90%, then we're obviously going to see a massive impact. So relatively speaking, I'm not sure if we can go around saying, you know, we've just this year done the world a massive favour, because really day in and day out, we're actually consuming so much.
No, I think the conversation around this time and how we're going to be sort of like reflecting on it would probably be in line with, you know, this event happened and this is what good it did for the planet. Can we achieve that now? Like, can we achieve those goals now? Because we've experienced, you know, the planet basically healing itself due to something that's forced us to go into lockdown and forced us to halt everything. So I suppose in retrospect, when we, you know, get out of this, or eventually get out of this this pandemic, it's going to be more the conversation of how can we replicate that era, but also have a booming economy as well. Right. It's like, okay, we've experienced that. We know it's possible.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
And I suppose too, one thing that I've particularly noticed is that the economy and the environment are on two ends of the scale. And we need to find a way to be able to combine them.
Yeah, to find that middle ground between them.
That's right.
And like find that balance ultimately.
Well, it's not, I don't even think it's about finding the balance anymore. It's about combining both economy and the environment to act as one thing. So that when you've got a strong economy, you've also have a more sustainable environment.
So you're saying like the economy is all like is providing, you know, almost like sustainable initiatives for the environment.
That's
like it's
right,
actually working for the environment, not against it.
That's exactly right. Because at the moment we're
really
got
good
an oil and coal based economy in terms of energy consumption and mining for other precious metals. So it'd be good to be able to have the economy be more in favour, like you're saying, of those sustainable initiatives as opposed to against them, because that means that moving forward, if the economy is going strong, we're doing great things for our planet, as opposed to if the economy is going really well, then we can innovate. You know, then we can start then that allows us room to actually start performing on an environmental perspective. And if the economy is going bad, we have no room to innovate. We have no room to perform on an environmental perspective.
Yeah, I like that. I like that sort of that way of thinking about it. You know, if the economy is booming, then the environment is booming as well. It's almost like working in harmony with the environment, and it's seeing our natural world as a reflection of our economy as well.
That's
like,
exactly right. Yeah.
Sort of saying like if the planet is booming, we're booming as well. Like our economy is booming.
100%. Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a really great way of distilling it and like simplifying it to the point where you can communicate it and like basically give that image straight away.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. So the equivalent of that percentage that I gave you before, that fall in CO2 and greenhouse gases, is the equivalent of immediately taking 3.46 billion passenger vehicles off the road.
Wow.
So if you imagine just snap your fingers and they're gone. That's the equivalent of that. And I'm not talking a few, I'm talking 3.46 billion passenger vehicles gone.
That's like half the world's population, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Far out.
Yeah, so if everyone in the world owned a car, take half of those cars away. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the vehicles versus people in the world, I'm not sure what the what the ratio is there. I don't know if this 3.46 billion is equivalent of 100% of the cars on the road, or 60%, or 10%.
Yeah.
Or
It's always
200%. I don't know.
It's always so like difficult to sort of fathom that number, like the billions, like to visualize that. I suppose,
It's like completely out of my realm of thinking. Like I'm just like, I don't know what that means.
because generally what a stadium of people will look like. That's about 40,000 people.
Yeah.
And then that's
a
like
town.
That's like, okay, yeah, all right, I can visualize that amount of people in one space. But in the billions, I think there was I forget where I saw it, but there was an actual source that did an exercise of visualizing how many people like it would like can actually cram into a singular spot if we all stood shoulder to shoulder. And I'm pretty sure they did it in between in a state in America. I think it was California. Everyone could fit in that state in the sort of perimeter of the landmass.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Every being on the earth.
Everyone.
Yeah,
7 point
what,
5
billion?
5 billion?
Something.
Yeah, it's...
Do you have much room to move? Or?
No, it's literally like, it was just sort of a thought experiment of, visualizing how many people can stand in, shoulder to shoulder in a singular space, and how much area that would take up. And they calculated it to be the area of California, or one state in America.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Someone could probably correct me on that one, but yeah, that's sort of like the visualization of that. So
yeah.
It's amazing to think like, we don't need the whole planet to...
Yeah, that's right. And but the thing is, it's amazing to think with that thought exercise that how much damage we're actually doing when we would take up such a small amount of space, how much impact we're having.
Yeah, that's it. We're all moving to California.
Yeah. So this dangerous fine particle matter emissions that I was talking to you about before has also reduced by 3.8%. So parts per million, we're talking about, let me just find it here in my data. You know what? I lied. I don't have that parts per million. But I can tell you it's reduced by 3.8%.
So, you heard it here first.
Yep.
Probably not first.
No, not first. No, definitely not first. This is data from Science Daily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Science Daily.
And I'll post the links. Excuse me. I'll post the links.
You're excused.
Yeah, thank you. I'll post the links into the description. Worth a read, because one of them is actually an article that's just been released, a scholarly article as well. 100% worth a read if that's your jam.
We're all about those scholarly articles.
Yes, we are. Yes, because we're
Peer
very
reviewed for
professional
days.
and debunk languages. And
We
whatnot.
debunk time as well.
Yes. The world is all just a concept. Anyway.
All right, it's getting a bit too deep there. Let's pull it back, Kaylin.
Yeah, I don't know how do we get back from this? So the burning of fossil fuels has obviously reduced, which means those dangerous particles in the air has reduced by 2.5 parts per million. There you go, found the data.
Nice.
Yep.
We got there.
Yeah, so that's huge. That's a big percentage. I mean, that's equivalent of 3.8%. So the air that you're breathing now is 3.8% cleaner than it was, almost 4% cleaner than it was this time last year.
Oh, wow.
Amazing to think.
That's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Stop. We've had way too many puns today already, and they're not good. Like, they're not good puns.
Look. That's a sigh of relief.
Moving on, speaking of sighing, actually, nice segue. You use your breath to sigh, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that in easier to breathe air, like we were just punning about. Well, that breathier to ease, easier to breathe air they estimate has prevented 4.2 million deaths per year, or this year.
Whoa.
Having that clean
That's
air,
huge. Wow.
mainly based in China and the air pollution there.
Yep.
But diseases associated with dirty air has reduced by about 4.2 million.
Because that was something that immediately took effect when travel was banned and mobilization was sort of halted. Hong Kong actually cleared their skies, right? Or was it Shanghai?
Yeah, I think something like that. There's some cities in China that they
could actually see the sky.
That's right. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And when I went to China, I was really lucky in that I only ever had smog on the day that I landed in Beijing, and then when I moved to Jinan as well, that first day we had smog. Other than that, and the day I left actually.
Oh right.
And I was there for 3 weeks. So
you brought the Australian clean air with you.
yeah, everywhere I went, it was just a fresher breath air. So, it was interesting to see because it was really like anyone who has seen smog before, you really think it's just a misty day and it's really but like that's actually pollutant in the air. Like that's disgusting what you're breathing in, really. And to me, luckily, I don't have to live there, so the health effects that I would have had were probably only immediate and not ongoing.
Right.
Touch wood. But to imagine how many people are breathing that in and day out, that's where we get that 4.2 million people per year who has now potentially been saved because of that, the ongoing health effects based on that.
Yeah.
And the overall environmental pollutions have reduced by 30%. And that's seen with recent data released by NASA and the ESA, which is the European Space Agency, which indicates that the pollution in some of the epicenters of COVID-19, such as Wuhan, Italy, Spain, and the USA, has reduced by 30%.
Right.
Yeah. So I have a picture to show you.
Oh.
I know.
Getting visual now.
Yeah, getting visual.
Should we describe the picture?
Interactive. Yeah, in 3 words.
In 3 words.
Or just one.
Welcome to the 3-word challenge of describing a picture. It's a little segment that we've just set up right now.
Yeah. So I want you to describe this in 1 word for people. I'm coming to you. You stay there.
Okay. I'm looking at an image. It's very blue. There's a heat spot. It's almost like a heat map. There's one image on the left and it says before lockdown, and the image on the right says after lockdown, and what appears to be a heat spot over a map of Europe. There's a very hot spot over Italy, and basically in the before lockdown image and after lockdown is basically like a blue mist over everything. So I'd presume it's something to do with some dense energy or over that particular spot. I know that's not 3 words, but
no, it wasn't. But we can if we fast forward it. I think we can.
Yep.
3 words.
Yeah,
stuff.
if we can do that in post.
Yeah,
Thanks.
everything was just hyphenated, and there's only 2 spaces in between all of that.
I mean, that's kind of interesting to look at.
So we'll post the link to this image as well in the description. But what you're seeing here is actually the gases. So the greenhouse gases.
Wow.
Heat map based on those greenhouse gases. So the 2019 or before lockdown, what you're seeing here is it's really hot over those epicenters. And then during lockdown, after all activity has stopped, you're seeing it's cool. It's immediately taken effect. Which is really interesting.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so you can still, you've gone from a really dense red, almost purple, down to a slight orange, yellow, blues, greens, getting onto the cooler spectrum.
Yeah, and that's in, obviously, Italy, and they were hit hard with COVID, but wasn't one of the side effects of sort of the halt of everything, halt of the economy, the dolphins came back into
Venice. I was going to talk about Venice. So there are some amazing environmental immediate effects that we're seeing.
Yeah.
So obviously Venice canals cleared up. There were some dolphins seen, some fish, all these things starting to interact with these environments that were normally uninhabitable.
That's so cool.
Do you know of any other things? I was trying to find more. And everyone was just talking about the canals, but I have heard in passing of other things.
I know that was a big one. Like that was a big story because, it's been so long since, wildlife has sort of returned to that spot. In terms of any other spots, I haven't really heard of many others. I'm just, no, not that I've seen. Yeah, not that I've seen, but I know that's probably like a big symbol for, I suppose, Europe in general. Like that would be a big, symbol for the whole place.
That's right. And it would be really, it's be interesting to see what comes of that, I think, because we're going to have a lot of people now being like, but we saw the canals clean.
Yeah.
Like, let's get there. People who may not have really thought about it before and just like, I don't really see how it can impact my immediate environment. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it will.
Just do it for the dolphins.
Do it for the dolphins, man. Yeah, so look, the overall pollution is pretty much down. In addition to this sudden drop in climate change inducing greenhouse gases, it's also prevented deaths, as we've talked about, which is of a major significance. So we can see that. But the thing is, we need to remember we're not out of the woods yet. And the reason why is this isn't just a Band-Aid patch. This is not a Band-Aid patch at all. This isn't even remotely fixing our environmental disaster and biodiversity disaster that we're currently in. We can see the immediate effects. What this has proven is we can see the immediate effects that the slowing of human activity has on greenhouse gas emissions.
Right.
But the thing is, our planet, we've terraformed it so much that we are in a position where we have such limited ability to actually absorb CO2. So the atmosphere levels that are CO2 rich with human activity, the planet is not equipped to absorb that. So just simply pulling down our emissions for some time isn't going to help meet our targets down the track.
Oh, it's not enough.
It's not enough, no way. Because
so what do you think the solution is?
It just means that overall we're in a position where we have less carbon going into the atmosphere, but it's still more than the planet can actually absorb, essentially.
Right, so we need basically proactive solutions to help absorb that carbon, is what you're saying.
That's right.
Now.
Yeah. So we need to keep up the hard work. And you asked what the solution is. I don't know. Not one person does, and I think it takes many, many brilliant minds to come together. A few ideas would be carbon capturing is one. Yeah. There's some politics surrounding that as well, though. Because the question around that is that just an excuse for people to keep using pollutants if we can just capture and pump it back into the earth?
That's right. Yeah.
The most natural way of carbon capturing is planting trees, obviously.
Yeah.
Stop deforestation.
Plant a tree.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone plant a tree. You know what you should do today? Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Just
grab that seed. Throw it in the ground.
Put it anywhere. Middle of the road. It'd be
Put
fun.
a bit of water on it. Yeah, middle of the road.
Doesn't matter. Just plant a tree.
It's like urban graffiti.
Yeah.
But the natural way.
Urban graffiti movement. Let's start it.
By all means, we don't condone vandalism in the green form. Please consult with your council.
Yes.
Your local councils and municipalities.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, yeah. If you do have the opportunity to plant a tree, I think that's such a great way to get started.
And support things as well. Like contribute to the conversation as we're doing. Support things, particularly innovation surrounding how we can move forward as a society to fix these problems.
That's right.
Urban farming, one of them. Farming towers. I've discussed this in the last episode. We're currently in a position, as I've mentioned before, where we have terraformed our planet, and we're still terraforming it for traditional agricultural farming, and it's not sustainable because with our current population, because we have we're in a position where we're got some more deforestation happening. The Amazon is being deforested like so much every single day for agriculture, and they are like, that is more and more CO2 capture that's just disappearing, and we can't just bring that back immediately. We need to move to, my solution would be, we need to move to renewable energy immediately, and we need to start funding programs to do that. We need to look at potentially increasing the tax is one of them, is one way of doing it, but we need to increase the consequences of using fossil fuels, essentially, and basing your business around the use and consumption of fossil fuels without innovation. Because there are some companies out there who are innovating alongside supplying power and everything to our economy at the moment. And I feel that needs to be rewarded, the innovation.
So you feel that with higher taxes that against the sort of these current systems that we're using, like fossil fuels, that's going to breed more innovation to alternative solutions?
Look, I don't know. I'm not an expert in the economy, and I don't pretend to be, but I think there's always risks involving increasing taxes that the companies themselves won't absorb, that it'd be passed on to the consumer.
Sure.
And then that's going to have an impacting effect on other people. So that's going to also have a negative effect on trying to innovate. People are going to see trying to innovate in a negative light because it's immediately impacting their, maybe we should be using more encouragement as opposed to consequence.
Incentivizing rather than discouraging.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really articulate way of putting it. I have no articulation today.
As we were saying before, it's like the earliest it's ever been in a day.
Yeah,
but right. I really enjoyed that point about we're terraforming the planet to the point that we're almost doing it without we're not conscious of it.
I think the consciousness is starting.
Yeah, and we're slowly waking up to it as well. But I'd love to share one of my favorite quotes by an architect that I look up to. His name's Bjarke Ingels, and he talks about, we're in the midst of an Anthropocene. And, we're basically, if we can change the planet by accident, then imagine what we could do if we did it on purpose.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. That's a really cool thought.
And his sort of philosophy around all of, his work is basically intentionally doing things rather than things happening by accident.
Yeah.
Amidst a whole array of other philosophies, but that's the one that I resonate with the most, and I think it's most applicable to this current time as well.
Yeah.
It's almost like reflecting on, as we're saying, if we're doing all of this by accident, everything that we're doing day in, day out, second by second, imagine if we did it consciously and like we did it on purpose.
That's right.
Imagine the consequences and the mindset that we'd form.
Yeah.
We'd take responsibility for everything that we did.
Yeah.
All the actions that we did and all the negative side effects and positive side effects that each action had.
Yep. And I feel like that's really important. And for our listeners and what you do in your day-to-day life, I think it's really good to remind yourself of the positive things you're doing as well, because if you strive for the positive things, you're going to increase your positive activity. Yeah. Because it's positive. It's something that you're doing right. People don't love being told what they're doing wrong. They kind of shy away from it. Yeah. So if you only have so much energy that you can actually give in a day. Yeah. And you're giving some of that to negative impacts, but you're also giving that to positive impacts. So it's about shifting that towards your positive impacts.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll be influencing yourself and others and your family around you to be more positive than you are negative. And who knows, we might be breeding future humans to only ever think naturally in that positive light.
Yeah. Imagine that world.
That would be...
Everyone just focuses on the positive because it's so easy to look at the negative, right? It's so easy because like it's immediately we can dwell on it, and it brings up a lot of emotions, and those emotions can run rampant through your body. But the positives are like so much more stronger. It just takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more mental capacity to focus on that and only focus on that.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the challenge.
Yeah.
It comes from where we're at this impasse that we've talked about. I think I'm going to coin that word, by the way, impasse. I think I've said it so many times in this podcast. Yep. But this impasse is a...
Say it again.
Impasse. It's a top-down, bottom-up approach.
Wow. Okay, that's a bit of Inception.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And it needs to happen at a policy level. It needs to happen on a personal level.
At a grassroots level. Yeah.
That's right. And we can only control what we can control. If we have anybody in a position of power listening to this podcast, be it a head of a company, all the way through to the Prime Minister of Australia or the President of the United States or somebody sitting on the board of the European Union, who knows? But that's really aiming high for our podcast.
We can go higher. If this is a broadcast in the stratosphere, and
if there's any alien beings listening to
any
us,
extraterrestrials,
any of a higher consciousness,
share your technology.
Just do it for us. We don't want to do it. But you have the power to impact in a positive light. And you have, from a grassroots level or from a top-down approach, someone has control of both. Every person has control of both, be it through voting, be it through choosing your coffee supplier, be it through going to your household and saying, okay, my top-down approach is we're getting a compost bin. That's it. We're going to start reducing the waste that goes out of this household. And then on their day-to-day life, from a grassroots up, they can start doing things like, I choose to always take my keep cup. Things like that. But you mentioned an architect quote before, Bjarke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one that I've always resonated with. Yeah. And it's, if you haven't heard of him, and you're going to
hear of him now.
Yeah, you will. If you haven't heard of him and you're in architecture, you really need to reconsider your career path. But if
there's a lot of persuasion going on right now.
It's Frank Lloyd Wright, obviously.
Yes.
And one of his my favorite quote of any architect ever comes from him. And it's, I believe in God, only I spell it nature.
Ooh.
Yeah. I wanted to get it tattooed, but I was like, but in what font? What size? Are we doing 12
Comic
points?
Sans.
Yeah, Comic Sans. Yeah, let's do
72 points.
Bright red. Underlined.
That's a really great quote.
Yeah, so I really resonated
succinct
with that.
To the point.
That's right. And I don't mean to step on anyone's spirituality there. I think it's a really good point in the way that we think.
Yeah.
We put a lot of energy into spirituality and concepts, such as money is just a concept.
Yeah, that's
and right. I think that really shows the positive influence that humanity has the potential of doing, because we have this amazing capacity in our minds to believe particular things, whether we're told them or not, whether they do come from a higher being or not. It really shows that we're really intelligent and we have these amazing abilities to think completely outside the box.
We're so smart.
We are.
SMRT.
But
I mean,
but
SMART.
also so dumb. Oh, it's a nice Homer Simpson quote.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so it'd be great to see us being able to, utilize, like as that quote says, or conceptualizes, being able to put that energy and that ability towards nature.
That's a really good point, and learning from nature, because that's like our greatest teacher, and then taking those learnings and conceptualizing them, as you say, into things that we can, materialize, really, like take from the idea realm and put it into, our systems right now.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's basically as simple as it gets. I'm obviously simplifying the whole manifestation process, but
you are
can
grossly,
be.
but that's okay.
But we've got to keep it simple. Stupid.
That's right. We've got to kiss it.
We've got to kiss.
Yeah.
Kiss the shit out of it.
Yeah. And, I don't want to, last bit of my facts here of us moving forward and to prove that we're not out of the woodworks. We're still in a place where we're increasing our parts per million of toxicness into our air by 2.5 parts per million every year since 2010. And 2020 has seen a drop in that immediately. But we're not equipped. Doesn't mean 2020 was an amazing year that we also innovated everything, and then when the global economy starts up, all of a sudden it's green. The global economy is going to start up exactly how it finished. So we had a little breather, but again, we're still producing more CO2 during this time than we have the ability to absorb. And that's only going to increase. So it's still important to keep moving and keep this conversation alive, and also keep our actions going and start supporting innovation.
It's hitting that reset button.
That's right.
Hitting that reset button of, rethinking our systems and starting afresh.
That's right.
Fresh. We've experienced this breath of fresh air.
It's time to now want that permanently.
Let's extend that. Extend that into the next decade and next century and, well into the future.
That's it. Yep. Absolutely, 100%. So look, Nathan, this was a really, really big topic today. And there's obviously very premature data out at the moment. 5 years' time, there'll be more concrete stuff.
That's right.
Of understanding. So I would take everything that I've said today with a grain of salt, other than the underlying message, which is to keep going, because
the incentives and the positive hope.
That's right. Yeah, and just keep doing what you're doing, Nathan, because I know that you do positive things to influence the earth.
And right back at you.
Oh, thanks, mate. And all of those people who literally have done something, just do one thing for the environment today. Just think about what can I do for the environment today.
Yeah.
And
Whether
then
it's
build on that.
Planting a tree, hugging a tree,
kissing a tree,
keep it simple, stupid tree.
Kissing, keep it simple, stupid tree.
But that's a really good point to end on, and even if it's just one thing, alters the trajectory of the future dramatically. If
the old
everyone,
butterfly effect.
Yeah, exactly. If everyone did one thing, it's definitely changing the course of our path as a collective and global community.
Yep.
And I think this is, as much as this scenario has been with COVID, it's definitely brought us all together. I feel.
And isn't that odd? It's disconnected us as a global community, but brought us all together.
Yep, we're socially distanced, but we've been more connected than ever, because we all see the human in everyone. We all go through the same, emotions and
we're
the
all
struggles.
vulnerable at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's people out there, particularly leaders, who I don't want to name personally because I don't want to get into the politics of it, who would like to say otherwise and like to say that it hasn't affected them and they're all good. But the truth of the matter is everyone has been affected and everyone has these vulnerabilities. And this has really just shown that what we can do when we come together as a global community with those vulnerabilities. not point fingers and just start looking at the positive
Yeah.
and how we can build on that.
Focus on the positive.
That's it. And that's all we can do. Just day by day, one positive action after another, and just build on that. And just have that as your base point and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff,
Look at
man.
us. We're just motivators.
This is like turned into a motivational speech.
Yeah, I'm just going to go to my LinkedIn and be like, architectural graduate, podcaster, motivator, aspirational speaker,
Everyone's just fired up.
debunker of the
Everyone's
world
just
as we
ripping
know
off
it.
their earphones and just going out and planting trees.
Yeah, just in the middle of roads and shit.
Yeah. We're like, hang on. There seems to be more trees in the middle of the road.
There
What's
seems to be
happening?
a lot more
Hang on.
car accidents.
Did we do that?
Wait, that's taking cars off the road but putting trees back on.
Yeah.
No, don't do it. We're not condoning that. No,
No.
that's real bad. Don't do that. It's real bad. But like, good plan, but like real bad. Also, don't do it.
But do it as well.
Just in your mind, just do it.
Just plant a tree in your mind.
Yeah, in the middle of the road, and
the
just
middle of the
sit
road.
there and watch it. Okay.
Very
all right,
motivational, Kalen.
We better end this before people decide never to come back. All right.
Good
Cheers,
stuff,
mate.
Kalen.
Peace out, dude.
Cheers.
It's always great trying to sign off from an episode. No idea what to say.
Until the next one.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's a good sign off.
Yeah. Well, I think I already kind of started one if you listen to the previous ones. I think I always say peace out.
Peace out.
Obviously, that hasn't been intentional, FYI, everybody. That hasn't been intentional. That's literally just been me not knowing what to say, and that's my default.
Well, that's your
Could
default,
be
right?
could be worse.
The peace is out. Or is it peace in?
We're not debunking this.
Come
okay.
on. Come on, let's
All
go.
right, bye everybody.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning into this episode. We hope you've enjoyed this chat. Please feel free to join the discussion by finding us on social media. Here we really encourage our listeners to get involved and extend the conversation. If there's a topic that you'd like us to talk about, drop us a line. From the Habichatters, have a good day.